Welcome to End User Input. I'm your host, Savannah. I've got the sound god, Tayson, our resident techie, Justin, and our sarcastic commenter of the ages, Jason.
Hey,
You're really good at that, though.
yeah,
You know you love it.
phenomenal.
So this week, a little light on the tech and entertainment news, but of course the biggest one being that our little discussion of last week's rumor came true. Microsoft bought Mojang for $2.5 billion. Comes at kind of an interesting cost, though. I mean, it has a mixed response among the users, the players of Minecraft, and all of Minecraft's founding members are leaving the company. Not necessarily in response to the purchase, but, they're going to move on to different things, although they haven't said what. So, what do we think?
Notch was really happy to leave, you could tell. He did not like running Minecraft very well.
Well, he's commented multiple times in the past that it's very overwhelming, that the response to his game has been very overwhelming.
Yeah, that's true. It was a little more than expected, but yeah, there's really not much else to say. Do you have anything to add, Jason?
Yeah, if you remember from watching or listening last week, I was a little nervous about this, just because there are things that could go horribly wrong that they could change and stuff like that. But I'm actually surprisingly optimistic about this, because now with Microsoft's development team behind it and Microsoft's money, we might actually get some really cool things out of this. Just more people working on development, and that way we can get updates out a little bit quicker for the consoles specifically, because the consoles have been so far behind the PC version for, I don't know, they're like 3-4 updates behind now. They're quite far behind, so it'd be nice to get updates starting to roll out a bit sooner. And with the money and the amount of man hours that Microsoft can kind of put behind that, it might be a little bit quicker in getting those updates. So there are a lot of good things that could definitely come from this. So I'm hopeful. We'll have to see what actually happens, but I'm actually fairly optimistic about this.
You bring up good points.
I think the only concern that I've seen that I don't think we really addressed last week was that, and I didn't know this, that Minecraft it's kind of built using, well, not built, but it's, they use a lot of Amazon assets, like their servers and things, to kind of hold the data, for your online accounts and things. And so I think the only concern I've really seen is that because it's a competing company, there might be some kind of, backlash trying to figure out how to transfer the data and everything like that. And of course, there's always your residual, hardcore fanboys saying, no, Microsoft sucks, I don't want to be involved. But
Yeah.
So we could look forward to at least a week of Minecraft servers being down.
I doubt that'll happen,
so you're concerned about
possibly.
Them having all these outages while they're doing the migration, because really, it's like saying, oh, is Microsoft going to handle that gracefully? And then I stop and think, and I'm like, I just used the word graceful and Microsoft in the same sentence there. So I don't know.
The thing is, they might not even transfer the Minecraft stuff over to their servers. I mean, companies generally use their own servers because that's what they have, but companies use other people's servers all the time as well. I mean, that's why you have like co-location facilities and stuff like that. Like, you sometimes have to reach outside of your company to host things somewhere. So they might not even move it over. But if they do, you might see some outages during the migration process, like you said. But after that, it's probably going to run just as smoothly as it always has.
Yeah. Well, and if they do like a delayed thing where it's, certain regions during certain really late times and it's a trickle process, they might have less problem.
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead.
Well, and also, like you were saying, Jason, that they might not even migrate to native server Microsoft servers at all. I mean, yeah, because if you're Microsoft and you've got everything's already working on whatever systems it's already running on. So I mean, I guess the cost to benefit, it's like you say they're a competing thing, but really, I mean, are they really directly competing with Microsoft in that game market? I mean, I
wouldn't say so.
No. So they probably don't have that awful much reason to do that. I mean, they might just decide, you know what, it works as it is, and if ever in the future we have, if they add new stuff, they might do it under their own roof. Like if they have to add new servers, they might do that. But I don't think they have any reason to screw with something that's already working.
And I'm sure all the updates will be coming via Xbox. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get the Sony version to working and then never touch it again. But,
no matter what they do.
I don't think they will do that. I've kind of changed my position from last week just because I can't remember who said it, but by putting it on multiple consoles, Minecraft is essentially a license to print money at this point. So I think Microsoft will keep it up on every console just because it's going to be a huge influx of money for them on Sony, because Sony just barely got it. So the install base there is already fairly small and it has room to grow a lot. Whereas on PC and Xbox and things like that, it's fairly large already, probably doesn't have as much room to grow. So the place where they can make the most money is on the Sony consoles, I think.
yeah.
I could definitely get behind that. I mean, I was going to say, no matter what they do, I'm sure they will handle it. Like, anything is going to be better than some of the outages we've seen in the past with The Sims and Diablo 3 and, you know.
Well, and, with a game like Minecraft, where most of its value, as far as I know, is in community-created content. People building stuff, sharing stuff. It's almost like, plastic Legos as a kid. I mean, you buy a Lego set and it's like, oh great, we'll build this, and then it's like after that it's like all the fun comes from having all that extra stuff to play with. So
I speaking of Lego, I learned something new today. Did you know Lego is an adjective? So you're only supposed to use it as like Lego bricks? Like it's supposed to come before that?
Yeah. Like I know in like the UK and Europe and stuff, they don't say Legos, they say Lego.
Yeah.
Like that's how you. That's the point.
I think that's what they do in Canada too.
Yeah. And I never know what to say.
Yeah,
Well,
it's weird because like apparently that's like Lego's thing. Like in their, this is how you use our name.
Mm-hmm.
Like it even says it's like it's supposed to be Lego bricks or Lego blocks or Lego set, never just Lego on its own.
And God, I remember hearing a little while ago that someone said, oh, their company almost went bankrupt a few years ago, and that was news to me.
Lego or Mojang?
No, Lego.
Oh.
Yeah. I was shocked too.
Well, you see, I can almost see it, but just because all of the sets I want run $70 or more.
Yeah.
So.
That's ridiculous. But I'm sorry, I didn't want to get off on a Lego tangent. I was using it to describe something else, but I've lost that train of thought.
Well, I mean, they have Minecraft Lego.
Yeah. They actually do.
Really?
They do now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that just
So it
seems-
kind of ties in.
It's a little redundant.
Yeah, redundant.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I definitely see what you're saying though. I mean, with Minecraft, it's essentially a world that you can play with however you damn well please. You can even set the rules of, when you win and lose, or you can make it so you never lose. It's
Because it's like it's a sandbox type game. It's like its value does not decrease very fast. It's like a lot of these games that have came out just recently. I mean, like this new Destiny game, or was that one recently that made a big splash and then I never heard about it again? Titanfall.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like
Titanfall.
these games, it's like they're really great and they're really fun, but if the value's mainly in the story of it.
Which Titanfall has almost none of.
Well, yeah,
Titanfall has
but
no
it's like the
value in
level.
story. That story's non-existent. It's there for like an hour, and then it's just competitive multiplayer. That's all you do.
Right. And multiplayer stuff in like first-person shooter type games only has a limited amount of replay value because, I mean, eventually you get to the point where they almost all feel the same after a while. Mm-hmm. But, well, no, I know that's an oversimplification, but I'm making a broad, general, sweeping argument. And
Okay, I'll let you go with it. I'll let you go with it.
Moving on.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just saying, like he said, have a license to print money with Minecraft on all these things. So it's a very simple game, and I think it's going to continue to have very good replay value because,
well, and a very large portion of the player base for Minecraft is actually like young, like 12 or younger.
Yeah.
Like, because it pretty much is just digital Legos. Like, my sister doesn't play video games hardly at all. She plays Minecraft all the time.
Yeah.
So
Oh, have you seen a young child play Minecraft before?
it's amazing.
It's the craziest thing to watch because they don't have the same like preconceived notions about the way the world works like we do. So they will come up with building solutions and mining solutions that I never would have thought of. Like I once watched my little cousin build, I don't even remember what he was, it's just the way he built a structure, like a shelter structure. I had no idea what he was doing at first. He had it mostly built before I figured out what he was doing. It was just insane to watch, but it's really kind of cool.
Well, and there's something cool to be said about that is because, like you said, they don't have these notions about how things work banged into their head already because they don't know yet. And it's really kind of funny to see material sciences in the real world getting more and more advanced. You'll end up with nanotechnologies like nanofoam steel, I think is what it was, and it weighs like as much as aluminum, but it's like retains the strength and everything like that. And I mean, don't quote me on that shit, but the point is when they start actually getting like usable graphene, like just recently in the last 8 months or so, they came up with a way to actually produce carbon nanotube thread, like a spool of thread you can just buy.
Right.
I mean, look it up. It's pretty damn cool. And the reason I'm going on about all this is because it's almost as if they're playing in a world where that has already been realized. You know? And I just think that it'll be interesting to see when these people get older and the material sciences have caught up, is they're going to be like the new generation of architects will already sort of be thinking that way because they've been playing in this world where those rules already work. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that was...
No, that's...
Best tangent ever because now we get to the depressing part of the story.
All right. On the heels of purchasing Mojang, Microsoft has also decided to lay off 18,000 people.
So, to put this in perspective, they're laying off 18,000 people. That was a plan, apparently, by their CEO, and that was supposed to take place between July and January of this year and next year. And so that was already planned, and most of it's already happened.
Yeah,
but
13,000 have already been laid off.
Yeah. But in the midst of all this, it's like they're laying off all these people to save money, but in the last 2 months, they've dropped $9.7 billion acquiring other companies, namely Nokia and Minecraft. Mojang, sorry.
Yeah. I think a lot of the initial layoffs were actually some of the Nokia people that they acquired, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember the exact wording of the article, but I think a lot of that was the Nokia people.
It's still depressing.
Oh yeah.
Why did they acquire Nokia in the first place? I can't.
I would imagine something along the lines of like they have the line of Windows phones coming out.
Okay, that makes sense.
So pushing that more, but
It's a little insidious if you think about it. I mean,
but you know what though? There's nothing saying that the remaining layoffs they had planned. I mean, they didn't even know they were actually going to acquire Minecraft for sure. I mean, obviously the people in charge knew about it before people like us did, but.
Yeah. And they say the layoffs are going to be throughout all departments, so that's, all across the world, is the so it's not like just one department or the other really, but it's still just kind of like, well, you just dropped how many billions of dollars, like, and yet you can't afford to pay everyone that's working.
I don't know.
Quote unquote.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think it's a smart move to like when you acquire a new brand, a new company. I don't think it's a smart move to immediately lay people off. Although that's what happens a lot because it's just like the analogy that comes to my mind is sticking a new fish in a tank.
Right.
You have to keep it in the plastic bag and just get it acclimatized to everything, and then you start screwing with stuff. They should really make sure that they can get it just working with their existing system before they start trying to change the system.
That would be smarter. I can kind of see the thinking, though, where it's like, we've just spent a ton of money on this new thing that is going to be profitable, so let's cut all the things we don't think are profitable. I'm not saying it's right, but I think I kind of get it. You know what I mean?
I mean, from a business standpoint, you can definitely see it. It's like, well, we spent money. We spent a bunch of money on something we think is going to make us money, but because of the fact that we spent a ton of money, we need to get rid of the things that aren't making us money. So jobs get cut a lot of the time.
This depends on how long or short term they're looking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, in my experience, it tends to be very quarterly thinking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nothing exists beyond the quarter you're currently in.
Well, and as I understand it, a significant chunk of these layoffs are because of the Microsoft Entertainment Studios division, just because they're straight up going to close it after all.
Yeah, that might
That
be
makes
true.
sense, actually.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, I thought they were going to sell it. Like, that was kind of the big rumor, was they were going to sell it to Machinima or one of the big gaming production companies. But
Well, even if they did, they're probably going to still be taking a loss on that.
Yeah.
that's true.
And their primary concern, Microsoft, like, the reason they would try and get rid of it at all is because it's not making them money. If they have, like, they're not concerned with its life after they're done with it. So it costs them nothing. Like, they don't care if they just kill it outright or if they sell it. And selling it probably is less profitable to, like, I don't know. It would really just depend on how much they could get for it.
Yeah,
If it
I
would
guess
be
that's true.
Worth that.
It's sad that it fell through, though.
Then again, last I heard, Sony was down like $2 billion this year.
It's
as
just
well.
been a hard year for the gaming and entertainment industry.
I think a lot of Sony stuff, though, I don't think it's from the gaming side. I think that's one of their profitable divisions. I think Sony's getting hit pretty hard on like their mobile line, their smartphone line and stuff. They were getting hit really hard on their laptop line. They actually, I don't know if they've carried through with it yet, but they aren't going to be making laptops and stuff anymore. Sony, it was a while ago. I was still working at my job at Best Buy when this happened. That's how I know, as I talked to our Sony rep, and they're cutting like the laptop and stuff. They're going to focus on their gaming division. They're going to focus on mobile, so mobile phones and tablets, and they're going to focus on cameras and television. And that was pretty much going to be their 4 focus areas. They were cutting pretty much everything else. So I think a lot of their losses came from some of their other departments.
Yeah.
That they're
kinda sad
planning on
because
cutting.
I've had Sony I mean, you know me. I've had a couple different Sony laptops, and
They're great.
Your Vias have always been great.
Oh yeah, like the one that I bought in mid 2007. That sucker still works purrs fine. I mean, I love their stuff because it's usually very clean, very simple. Does what what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Well, and that's always been kind of Sony's thing, is like all of my Sony products either run forever or catastrophically fail.
Yeah, but
And
there's no
then
middle.
they replace them.
And then they replace it, really. Like,
Because
always been really good.
Catastrophic failure, that happens with hardware occasionally. It's a small percentage, but sometimes it happens to you no matter how good the brand or the product is. Sometimes you're just going to get a faulty unit. So
Oh, and in their defense, I think 2 out of the 3 times the catastrophic failure happened, it was my fault. So
yeah.
Well, and with that laptop line of the ones that I got, a lot of they had like a recall for those for quite a few that were made because the discrete graphics card wasn't properly soldered to the motherboard, and so that would fail. And it had people, but they'd send it in, and they'd fix that all up for you. But
speaking of integrated graphics cards, apparently like those are getting really good.
Oh.
This is just random tangent.
They're
this
getting very good.
NVIDIA, like ever since you have the Optimus in NVIDIA, and you have I don't know what ATI's
AMD.
AMD
yeah, why
now.
do I know? But I don't know what their
Uh-oh.
equivalent technology is. But the idea that you can have a discrete graphics card and actually shut the damn thing off when you don't need it. Love that. This laptop that I've got now, this Gigabyte, I love it. Like, as much as you can love an inanimate, cold, heartless machine, I love this thing.
Aw, we love you too.
Yeah, Gigabyte's a great company. Most of the time, their stuff's usually really good.
All right. Well,
Where are we?
Microsoft.
We're taking this in a very positive direction as much as possible.
So depressing.
We're trying to
people
distract
from-
ourselves from the depressing stuff we started off on.
But hey, look, 13,000 of the planned 18,000 layoffs happened in July. So what? We only have to look forward to about 5,000 more
5,000 more.
layoffs.
Getting laid off right before the holidays.
Yeah.
that's-
They get their Christmas bonus as a pink slip.
Yeah.
Okay, something lighter. Okay,
What's our
okay.
next thing?
X-Men.
They've confirmed a Deadpool movie coming in winter of 2016. There's not a whole lot of details. It's rumored that Ryan Reynolds is going to reprise his role as Deadpool, since, we all know that the Green Lantern thing didn't super work out for him.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I love Ryan Reynolds. They need to stop putting him in superhero movies.
I don't know.
Like, it never goes well for him.
I thought before they decided to do the whole let's pretend that this guy without a face and swords in his arm is Deadpool, the smarmy, cocky, talks too much bastard part of Ryan Reynolds kind of worked for it. So
For that 3 minutes it was...
yeah, for the 3 minutes. So maybe it could work.
People. Deadpool.
You ever seen the... okay, so you've been on the internet, right?
Yes, I remember vaguely the internet. Oh yeah. What?
Okay,
It's a
have you ever
series of
seen the
tubes.
guy who he's in a red suit and his mask is kind of like Spider-Man, but it's just like big black eyes surrounded in red, like big black circles with red.
Okay.
And he usually is like being a dick to someone.
And he's super meta.
Yeah,
Like that's the joke, is he's the only superhero who knows he's in a comic book.
yeah. Like if you Googled him real quick, I'm sure you've seen him.
Well, yeah.
you go ahead
I'm
and-
just gonna wiki that.
Yeah.
Oh, do it.
But yeah.
But the reason that people think that Ryan Reynolds might be the one to play Deadpool is because he's the one who they had some test footage that got leaked because, leaked like usual, but he was the first person to really comment on it. So even if he's not playing Deadpool, he's definitely going to be involved in some way. What do we think?
Sorry,
Jason.
what? I was gone for a second. I spaced out. We're still talking about Deadpool, right?
Deadpool, what do you think? Movie.
I would like to be excited for the movie because Deadpool can be really hilarious. Like the Deadpool video game was really, really funny with a lot of just these references that were that really made you laugh, even if they were sometimes kind of stupid and stuff. So I would like to be excited about the Deadpool movie. I just don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off in the correct spirit of Deadpool. If they do, awesome. It'll be a great movie to go see, have a laugh, and probably be quite good. But I don't know if they can do that.
I guess we'll see.
That reminds me. My experience with Deadpool is limited, admittedly, but
Same.
I caught it at this really interesting time where the run of Deadpool that was going on was when he goes slightly more insane than usual and actually decides he's going to kill every superhero in the universe, right? And then after he's done, because he succeeds, because he's Deadpool.
What?
Yeah.
The universe is a big place.
Yeah, he does it. Because they all decide, oh, we need to stop Deadpool, and then they can't kill him.
Wait. Okay, this is which comic book franchise is this?
Marvel.
Marvel. Okay, Marvel. Wait a minute. Isn't this the same one? I mean, so this is the one that, say, that Guardians of the Galaxy takes place in. This is the one where you have these forces that are so primeval that you might as well be dealing with gods, and somehow this guy, a mortal man...
He's not mortal.
He's not mortal. What is he?
Think Wolverine on steroids.
He's got the extreme healing factor and,
Okay, but that's really cool, but see... There's shit that can just vaporize him. I mean, I don't understand how that could work.
He can't even be vaporized if there's anything left.
Really?
Yeah, he just grows back.
you'd
But,
have to destroy every single cell, essentially.
But just toss him into a star. That would work.
That
Well, they
would
didn't
probably
think
work.
of that, did they?
they didn't think of that, so... And then you run the risk of creating Deadpool the Star.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Okay, moving on.
That got weird.
Yeah, like in the just to finish my little rant here, in the comic, he then goes slightly more insane when he's done and realizes, wait, there's more than one universe. So he goes universe hopping between all of the different Marvel universes and wants to then kill us, the creators. So he's hopping through literature like Huckleberry Finn and fucking White Whale.
Moby Dick.
Like stuff like that, trying to get to us so he can kill us so that it can end the universe completely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool with the whole meta shit going on.
Yeah.
I like that.
I didn't read that run, so
Well, I have most of it, so.
I'll borrow it one
It'd be
of
kind
these
of funny
days.
if, like, in every universe there's a Deadpool, and every time he kills one, he gets more powerful. You know, so like in the one
Absorbs his essence.
until he runs into Jason Statham, and then
Oh,
yeah.
Jason Statham.
So anyway,
Well, it'll be cool if it pans out. I guess we'll just have to wait for more, like, details and leaks.
Giant quotes on that. We'll
Yeah.
just have to put that in the video, like actual giant quotes.
planned publicity.
Yeah.
And publicity.
It's a secret publicity. Rat Race. It's a secret publicity stunt.
Oh, I have another heavy story, you guys. So the visual effects industry, Industrial Light and Magic, Digital Domain, Rhythm and Blues, all these big studios. This has kind of been brought to light more by, like, when Life of Pi won its Oscar, and then its visual effects studio, Rhythm and Hughes, went out of business, like, right before it got the Oscar. It's something that's been brought up then, but the idea is visual effects studios will take big budget projects and they will, flog all of their workers through it, 70+ hour work weeks, no overtime, no breaks, no nothing. And then they will lose all their money, go bankrupt, and, not really get any mention or thanks in the process. They just get this tiny little credit in this gigantic wall of names that just flies up before you know it. The reason I bring it up is because Scott Ross, the former CEO of Digital Domain, this is from the Hollywood Reporter? Yeah. Has come on to do a guest column where he states that pretty much explicitly, it's not any better. In fact, it's worse.
So basically, the movie effects industry is the video game industry circa 5 years ago, before all of the, like, LA Noir.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of intense because obviously it's going through the same problems that the game industry had and still has, in that, people come out of college with an abundance of skill, but the job market is very competitive, and so they're encouraged to take a job that doesn't pay them enough, just for the sake of having something in their portfolio, for the sake of having a job, period. And before you know it, you're still being underpaid 10 years later, and you're working, 70, 80 hours a week. Your marriage is destroyed. Your children hate you. But hey, you got to work on the next Star Trek movie. Woo!
Like, you should be so lucky as to have this one job one time.
Yeah.
And it's always fucking crunch time. Like, they will say, like, oh, it will only be crunch time a week after you start, you're going to be in crunch time, and it's going to be crunch time for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Like,
and as far as some of this stuff goes, like, we've actually seen a lot of people trying to bring attention to this. I know while I was back in college, a lot of the professors that we all had, they were basically telling you, don't do work for free. By doing work for free and things like that, we've trained the clients that we do work for, that they can get somebody to do stuff for them for free, and they don't have to pay or don't have to pay enough. So we're seeing people even in the education level starting to be like, hey, this has become a problem. And it's not just visual effects. It's pretty much any digital media profession at all. So we're starting to see professionals who are in the industry, professionals who have been in the industry are now teaching, trying to teach people, hey, we can't be doing work for free or doing it for really cheap anymore just to get our names out there, because we're training our clients to not pay us. So that is something that is going to, I think, change in the next several years, because these production companies and things like that, as people start realizing that this is a really big problem and deeply ingrained in the clients that these people have to work for, they're going to start requiring to be paid enough. And so the production houses and stuff like that aren't going to have a choice but to finally pay people and give them better options with like negotiating contracts in on big movies, profit sharing in the movie and stuff like that. I think we're really going to see that in the next several years.
I really hope so. I think the big issue with the major studios, I mean, he kind of explicitly goes through how the major 6 studios in Hollywood right now aren't unionized. They aren't part of a collective bargaining group, and so they're forced to undercut each other in terms of price bids. So that's the biggest issue. But, you see it in all aspects of digital design. Just, you're encouraged to work for very little, for a portfolio piece. And it's exactly like you said. I remember when I started college, it was the whole UVU job board was filled with these little offers of, hey, I'll give you $20 if you design me a whole frigging website.
Yeah.
And that was acceptable. And people still think it is, even though, we're trying to change it so that it's not anymore.
Well, and especially just to get jobs, period, oftentimes, you need to have a pretty decent portfolio coming out of college. So I know a lot of people where it's just downright insulting when someone's like, oh, do this for a portfolio piece. And it's like, I already have one of those,
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
even if you
already
don't, they should
qualified.
give
I
you-
have the proof that I've done the work. You need to pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and when you were talking about a handful of big companies really control the money, the cash flow. Who gets a job, and in that way, who gets to eat later. Whose employees get to eat. So really, it's kind of interesting to me to look at this, and because this industry, the value is in, for the artists, it's in the creation. It's in being able to come up with things. It's mental effort is what it is. But you look at the software industry, that's also mental effort. And I think one of the big things, because with software, you see people getting paid decent or more than decent all the time. And you look at those and you say it's both involving the ability to it's paid on mental effort, I guess.
It's paid on, it's like a quantification of creativity.
Okay, yeah. And so in the software industry, however, you don't have everyone competing to appease a handful of people. You create something, and if people want it, they ask you for, they pay you, they get a license from you to use it. Yeah. And it just seems like that model is just completely different than this is.
Well, and it's like in the world we live in right now, it's starting to shift. You can see the shifts, but we're still very much a product-based economy.
Yeah.
Where things like software are going to sell better because they're a bit more tangible, a bit more you have this thing that does something for someone. Whereas movies, they're always, they're great, people love them, but its value to the individual is much less. It's not considered as important because it's an entertainment as opposed to a useful product, quote unquote.
Well, and the economy has been pretty much based on, physical, tangible goods, exchange of them. And you look at this creation of art, that has more of a one-time use in being sold. You don't want to use the exact same effect sequence for a different, for another movie. People would say, no, that's bullshit. You're just reusing that.
It's true.
But, with software, it does have that reusable value because people don't give a shit if it's been done before. They would rather use something that is an existing solution. So with tangible goods, usually it used to be you couldn't copy them, but now the ability to copy any sort of
Anything.
any sort of product of this mental effort can be copied easily now. And the only reason why with the effects and all this art is that it could be copied, but its value's diminished because it's only going to really meant to be used in one, it's like a one-time
Well,
thing.
but see, you'd think that would make it more expensive because if you think about it, you are specifically telling a person, I want you to take all of the time you have available that you will never get back to create one specific sequence that can only be used in one very specific strip of film in only one very specific situation. So I'm going to give you, it should be more valuable. It's like getting a piece of clothing custom made as opposed to going and buying one from like Target or Walmart or something.
Yeah.
So why is there this completely, like this 180 of what should be? I mean, what causes that?
I would definitely say it's the competition. It's forcing, it's almost like the digital design industry is built upside down. It's not, I want you to design something very special for me. It's, I have something very special that I need designed. All of you fight over who gets to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's backwards.
Yeah.
And it has to do with this, when you're training as an artist, you don't train like a businessman. You know, when you are getting your degree as a digital designer of any kind, you know, whether it's modeling and rigging, whether it's, website design, graphic design, anything like that, you're not thinking like a businessman, like how can I make the best amount of money at this? It's definitely there in your brain because obviously you're going to college so that you can make more money, but you're very focused on the technical aspect of it, you know, the execution of it. You're not thinking, is this making any sense? Am I ranting?
No, you're focused
that
on the
absolutely makes
actual
sense.
doing of it. Yeah. And you're not, so it's like they want to train you to become a good artist. But the reason you want to become a good artist, I mean, it would be great if no one needed to pay rent or buy groceries, you know.
All the Star Trek.
Yeah, if you could just do what you wanted with your time just for the creative challenge of doing something, then that would be adequate. But when you create something, now you need to actually figure out a way to extract that value back so you can actually live.
Well, and there's very little education in terms of what should you expect. Like, I remember the first time I was commissioned to do a piece, they said, okay, what's your rate? And I said, so I asked my artist friend, how much should I charge? And he said, charge what you think you're worth. And I think I was 19, so I was like, $10 an hour, and it'll take me 5 hours, which is insane. Public service announcement, if you are in college, not graduated, and somebody commissions you to do something, if you're not charging 3 times minimum wage, you are doing it wrong.
She feels very strongly about this.
Yes.
And it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on Fiverr.com?
Oh, God.
Fiverr.com, what is that?
Basically, it's the premise of the site is, if you give me $5, I will do this thing for you. And it started out really cute and cool. You know, if you give me $5, I will create a video where I say happy birthday dressed as Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, and you can give it to your spouse. Or I'll mail you a postcard from this very specific location. Or I'll make
Simple things.
just do tiny little fun things.
Trivial effort.
You go on there these days, give me $5, I'll build you a website and a marketing campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
A lot of the business goes to China now.
And it's not that outsourcing business to other countries is necessarily a bad thing.
For sure not.
It's that when that happens and where it's outsourced to countries where standard of living is so very different and where cost of living is so very different from the way it is here, people kind of tend to get this idea that when they need a service, they need to do it for as cheaply as possible. So they figure that cost should be ubiquitous worldwide, even though it's not. Because skill is not ubiquitous worldwide.
Well, yeah, and the cost of living, like you said, isn't. I mean, None of that stuff stays. I mean, even different states in the United States, you look at all these people coming up from moving like to Utah from California, and it's just such a radical difference in just the value of the same dollars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like just as I've known people who've come from California. They had a 2-bedroom apartment, and for the same amount that they were paying for the 2-bedroom apartment, got a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Like, huge differences.
So I don't know. So what do you guys think? Do you think with this sort of backwards business model that they have right now, do you think, because this fellow, that Scott Ross, I guess, I don't know. I can't remember if it was him or someone else mentioned like things like Netflix and more crowdsourced type major media things. Like I was talking to you about that Star Trek fan.
Oh, that looked so awesome.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Axonar.
Yeah, and that looks really good. And
links below. Go watch the trailer. It's great.
Please do.
Yeah, on it. Yes, very, very good. But with things like that getting more and more common, do you think it'll just sort of fix itself? I mean, obviously not fast enough.
Yeah.
But
well, it's getting there. I
think what's
like
most
YouTube,
likely to happen is that Scott Ross points out continually, it's like there's only 6 players, like there's 6 clients that you can work for, which isn't necessarily true. There's the 6 big ones that everybody knows and wants to work for, so that's their goal. But there's tons of visual production studios all over the country that are much smaller that do work on commercials and ad campaigns and smaller video games. I mean, you see people like fairly small studios like Rooster Teeth, who I'm a big fan of. You get jobs doing stuff like that there, and they're very successful and fairly profitable. You make a good living doing stuff like that, and those types of places exist all over the country. So part of the problem is also that these people want to do work for the big time 6 studios, and they think that that's the only thing that they can do. So I think that's part of the problem, is they're not really looking for the smaller studios. So I think that's going to happen more, where you're going to see people looking at those smaller production houses and things like that, as well as now Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that are doing their own exclusive production and stuff. So I think that type of thing is going to grow, and we're going to see things change that way. That's going to be really good for the visual effects industry in the long run.
Sure hope so.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Like, just like the one thing, like you mentioned, everyone's wanting to work for the big 6 studios, but that's just because for a long time, and this is changing too, or at least it seems to be, is like if you wanted to work on movies, you wanted to work on the big budget blockbusters of Star Trek, Star Wars, Avengers, whatever. That's
red
where
carpet level.
Yeah,
Okay.
like that's where you wanted to be,
Yeah.
and that's where the problem lies with like the big 6 studios not making money, is that these are the 6 that you're gonna go to for the big budget blockbusters that everyone loves. And when they're not making money, that means less of these big projects that are amazing get made. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of faith in crowdfunding. It seems like when you have the ability to determine exactly where your dollar goes, you're more likely to spend generously. Mm-hmm. So I think there's very high opportunity for crowd-funded film and other, crowd-funded games and things to completely change the face of the way studios work.
Yeah.
And that's not even to say things like, YouTube, where you can create anything on any budget and it's instantly available and enough people see it, that means you make money.
Well,
So.
And one more thing about that. How many people have you heard echo the sentiment that, like, with their tax dollars, they says, man, I wouldn't mind paying taxes for this. It's like, so it's just that idea of if you knew, if you could directly put your money to what things you think needed the support directly without any middlemen skimming off the top or it getting laundered through some big bureaucracy. If you could do that, people would be okay with spending the money, and I guess that's what you're saying with people in crowdsource stuff. So I mean, I'm always guilty of pretty much thinking the internet will eventually solve all of our problems, but I think that's because knowledge will eventually, the dissemination of knowledge will. And when you look at Jason, he was talking about how there are plenty of smaller studios that there's plenty of work to be had, I guess is what you were saying. But the problem is in a lot of these industries, especially before the internet, word of mouth was a thing. You got jobs by, oh, hey, this guy, you know, I know Joey over here. He's working for some guy that needs this job, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's great. But if there was a way that we could use the internet as a tool to solve that problem, bringing people together in much the same way that social networking has brought together people, you know, for specific people interested in things, get connected with the stuff that needs to get done. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, networking is a big issue now, because it used to be, you know the right people and you'll get anywhere. But nowadays, it's like you have to know the right people at the right time and know how to use them to get where you want. Because it's just like I know people who could get me jobs, you know, but I don't know them well enough to actually ask. I never got into, like, I didn't get my foot
that's
into
just
there.
because you need to.
I'm terrible at this. We're just saying.
You need to
Like-
eat some spinach, man.
Yeah, like, you know, just as an example, it's just like, it's like there's more levels than just know this guy, get jobs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You have to be, like, you have to know that person. Like, be friends, be on talking level, and make sure they're in the industry, or at least have connections in the industry you want to be in. And then they need to know, like, how quality your work is and know that you're available. And then they'll be like, hey, I heard about this thing. Do you want to work on this? That's how you get jobs. It's not just like, oh, yeah, I met this guy in a class like 3 years ago, so I know some people. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work.
yeah. And it's there's just a much more intimate level now. And because there's so many people, it's hard to get to that intimate level.
See, and that just seems to be lagging behind a lot more than I thought it would be, because, you know, it's still relying so heavily on mouth-to-mouth data transfer. You know, the mouth-to-ear interface just sucks.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
All right. Well, hopefully things will get better. We're hopeful again.
Well, hey, but you guys are the artists. Guess what? I don't have to worry about that shit.
Yeah, but you see, I know how to use you to get things I want. So,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than my response.
well, you're meaner than I am.
Okay.
Depending on the day, sometimes I'm a giant dick.
Yeah. Oh, just kidding.
Moving on.
Moving on. Oh, well, we have a nice, light, fluffy story to kind of follow that up. And
Fluffy.
caught this one off The Escapist. You can now text all of your innermost secrets to Guardian of the Galaxy's Groot, and he will respond in his signature way.
I am Groot.
Yes, that.
Yeah, I do it very poorly. But
See, and
Sorry.
the thing is, if you listen very closely, you can hear thousands of years worth of accumulated wisdom. Just,
Oh, Vin Diesel
true.
can do that. He's great at that.
you know, and that's the thing. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and like I knew that Vin Diesel did that, but it's just I can't. There's such a disparity in my mind between Groot, this character, this tree, houseplant, and Vin Diesel, who honestly I know him from pretty much every movie that I've not wanted to see.
and yet he's such
what
a
about the
good
Iron
guy.
Giant?
Okay, you know what? No, okay. He did a couple good ones, like
Iron Giant.
was that him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
No
does.
no
he does
shit.
the giant.
Okay, see now he's got some more cred for me. But what's some other stuff that he did?
Oh, he does have a tendency to be in terrible action movies.
It was
the
in what,
Chronicles of Riddick
Triple
movies.
X? Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's true.
Let's see. The
Oh.
best one of that was Pitch Black.
Those Triple X movies.
He was in,
Those.
he was in one of
Were-
those.
Yeah, only one of those, but the next one wasn't much better.
I don't know. I'm sorry. And you know what? I put that in the same category as the Fast and Furious movies. I'm like the first one. I think is okay, but honestly, I'm like the only guy that doesn't like those.
No, you're
Not anymore.
I'm not? Okay, good. Thank
I
you.
hate those
Found a friend.
movies. I can't stand them.
Yeah, they like sometimes if I just need background noise and I'm not going to be paying any attention at all and it's on TV, those are great. Like if you're just doing other shit, that's fine because I need noise constantly or else my brain explodes. But like other than that, like if I had to actually sit down and watch, my brain would probably explode worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't even be in the same room with those.
We're in
movies. It's
the
like-
minority for that. I mean, most people do like those movies, but I, for the life of me, don't know why. I haven't liked a single one of the Fast and Furious series.
Well, I like the first one because Paul Walker is a good actor.
He's a good actor.
It actually seemed okay.
Good actor.
My major issue with all the other ones and like that Triple X movie and everything, it's when the physics of it just are so obviously wrong. It's like my brain is running a physics engine automatically whenever I'm watching a movie. And when it starts throwing exceptions, and then it melts, like you said, it melts my brain having that on.
Your suspension of disbelief is
gone.
just eroded away throughout the movie.
Let me put it this way: I had less problems with the flying aircraft carriers in Marvel's, previous movies, than with all this shit in Fast and the Furious. I mean, at one point, I remember, what was it? They drag a safe behind their cars.
It's not even a safe. It is an entire bank vault.
It's an entire bank vault. Sorry, not gonna happen.
I'm kind of that same way, except for I can't watch disaster movies because I keep a mental body count.
Yeah, and I always think it's like every time I watch a war movie or like an apocalypse type thing or anything, I always look and I'm like, I'd be that guy right there.
Oh,
Extra
right?
number 42 that gets the bullet in the head and just that's it. That's
The trips on the sidewalk and gets eaten by zombies.
He has this whole birth and life and went to college and shit and did all this and then dead. It's like that 2012 movie that came out.
That movie was hard for me to watch, and I don't keep mental body counts. But just like when the buildings are falling and you can actually see people falling out of them, you're just like,
Yeah, I don't need that.
And I get how in every movie, like the reason why the main characters don't die is because it's not that they can't, it's that we're doing this hypothetical situation where shit happens and we want to tell an interesting story. Well, it's interesting. We want to focus on the fact that, oh, look, this one person or one group of people don't die. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, it also kind of goes back to, I think I said this last week, but the fact that movies are happening in the most ideal, the best possible outcome of a situation, like the very most ideal outcome of the situation, basically. So
for the characters.
For the characters, yeah.
Unless it's a horror movie, but
well, that's its own kettle of fish.
It's like an ideal situation.
Anyway, if you want to text Groot, his phone number is 866-740-4531.
And it actually works.
Live
He's doing
demo.
it now.
I'm going to text him
Demonstration.
right now. Let's see. What should I say? What should I say?
What should you say?
What should I say?
Ask him the answer to life, the universe, and everything. I bet he gets it wrong.
I bet so too, but I'm going to ask him anyway.
Well, maybe he just doesn't speak English enough, so he actually says 42, but it comes out, I am Groot.
Okay, all right. That makes sense.
Like,
Maybe he knows the ultimate question.
I feel like he speaks the universal language.
Yes, I am Groot.
Yes. But translating that gets a little bit, fishy.
Yeah, just a bit.
All right,
okay.
I am
just talk about-
asking.
Wait.
Well,
Here we go.
Here goes.
What you ask? Oh, life, the universe, and everything?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's I am Groot.
And he's right.
And he's right. Well,
Can I just say
We'll
I love
post the
Guardians of the
screenshot
Galaxy.
later.
I love Guardians.
Great,
When
great film.
I first saw the trailer for that, months and months ago, I'm like thinking, it's like, yes, that was it's like, how you have the Roman Emperor and the Gladiator, and he goes, just
Yes.
that was it, thumbs up,
Oh, good times.
and it didn't
good times.
disappoint either.
No, it didn't.
I rarely get my hopes up because I've been burned too many times the theater, and it's such a good feeling to actually have hope and have it validated.
Yeah, and I've seen what you're like after the burns. It's like watching a train wreck. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, because I'll just sit and bitch about the same couple things. Oh, okay. I watched the
oh
Captain
boy.
America: The Winter Soldier
Yeah.
recently. flying aircraft carriers got me thinking about that. I actually thought that was a really good movie, but there were a couple things wrong with it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, okay. There's supposed to be this like paramilitary organization, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it that they always have so much like wasted space in their architecture and like, did they like okay? My one thing that like really bugged me was when he's talking to like the Shield Council. Mm-hmm. And they have like these holographic displays, and they're like very far apart. It's huge, like almost a quarter of a floor of this building. It could have been done with pretty much the technology we've got now. 3 or 4 laptops or computer screens.
That's not pretty,
that
though.
doesn't look future enough.
But you know what? I don't have a problem with Tony Stark does it because that's like his superpower.
Is wasting space?
Well, is making.
How do you know he didn't design the
making
building?
big
And that's what my brother
ostentatious
Kyle
displays.
said. He says, "Oh, well, it's Tony Stark."
Actually, yeah, he actually did help design the buildings.
I know, but I'm still saying it's really.
Yeah.
Really? Sorry. That's just one example.
He was getting his feng shui on. I mean, he just, defeated the Mandarin. He had to figure stuff out.
You know what? I'm going to end this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's wise.
Yeah, all right. Well, this has been End User Input. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on our little counter there. It's kind of lonely.
Don't
It
be
needs your
needy.
help.
Don't be needy.
And comment if you feel like being a nice person.
Or if you don't feel like being a nice person, they're fun to listen to. The worst.
Don't encourage them.
What? I like watching people who can't spell try to insult people. It's fun.
Well, what if they
is
can
entertaining.
spell?
Well,
Well,
then it's still fun.
If they
Just-
can spell, then it's even better, because then their argument might actually mean something.
Good
okay,
point.
okay.
However, we'll let you two take care of those because I will slap a bitch.
No, you stay far away from the comments section. Thanks for listening to End User Input. Be also check out our links below because there's going to be some cool, important stuff. See you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's End User Input podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and favorite, and leave a comment below. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at the links provided below. Also follow the links to relevant content. See you next week.